Hello, Wayfarers. Welcome to our third episode of Homebrew Labs. Today we are doing Founding a Settlement, which is our show where we are going to create a brand new settlement, which, unlike our other episodes, which are centered around 5th edition's Dungeons and Dragons, this can really be used in any fantasy setting. I am Matthew, and once again I'm joined by our illustrious illustrator Sarah and co-founder of the Wayfarers League, Katie.
Hi.
All right. Now, assuming that was all live and actually went out,
yes, that's good.
It's all good. Fantastic. Okay, let's get ourselves a starting point. So, as always with Homebrew Labs, I have our wonderful hat of randomness, which I will be drawing our prompts from. And with Founding a Settlement, the first thing that we are going to pull from the hat is the size of our settlement. What scale are we working on here? And we are going to be creating, a port.
Yes.
A port. So,
Okay.
for anyone who is unfamiliar, a port generally is very much just one long street with a harbour attached to it. People do live in the ports, but usually are kind of hubs where wagons come in, collect goods from trade ships, and take them off to other settlements. But we're going to have some fun with that because a port is a really fun one. The next piece of randomness that I'm going to pull out of our hat is what kind of terrain this port has been built upon. And we will be building a port that is on a marsh.
Ooh.
So a marsh-based port.
I'm making a Fara. I guess we'll find out. See if it's a city or not.
Well, no, it's a port.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Not a Fara. A Fara is a capital city.
So, and the last little prompt that we are going to pull out of our hat is just like a nice little quirk for this settlement, some kind of like defining feature that we have to incorporate into the creating of this settlement. So we have our port on the marsh, and that port is... I said it before, abandoned.
Oh, creepy.
So we have an abandoned marsh-based port.
Okay.
There it
Oh.
is. So much we can do with that.
Oh,
That's awesome.
so much.
Abandoned port. I need to. Okay.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness, this is awesome. Okay, so we have an abandoned marsh-based port. So I guess the real important thing that we really need to start off with is why this port is abandoned.
Yes.
And there are definitely a lot of options there, because it being a port built into a marsh, it could just be like a Venice situation where this thing was like sinking, or we could do something a bit more fantastical than that. But yeah, this. So, what are you thinking, Katie?
Well, so one of the things I'm thinking is that this port was originally on the coast, but because of there was like a tide shift or something, and the tide went so far out that it actually created the marsh. So it wasn't originally built on the marsh, but actually was a thriving... So this is why it became abandoned, because actually now it's landlocked in a marsh. How weird.
So it's just no longer practical for it to be a port.
Correct.
I love it. Okay, so formerly coastal port is now landlocked due to dramatic changes in tide. Nice. So, with a port, because as I said, ports typically were just like one very long street that would have businesses upon the street, where so people did live there. but it wasn't like a huge population kind of place. So like, what kind of businesses would we have on there? I think there definitely needs to be sort of storage warehouses somewhere where goods would have been dropped off from the ships and picked up from wagons. I also think maybe just like a halfway house or an inn, so that any travelers that were passing through, or anyone who was stepping off from a voyage, or staying there overnight before driving off the next day. Oh, hi Sam in the chat there. That they would have had a place to stay overnight. So we've got warehouses and an inn. What other businesses would we have?
There would probably be a ship's right.
Yes. Ship's right.
It's okay.
Yes, a ship's right.
Maybe Smiths.
It'd be a very small Smiths, I imagine, because it's. I guess it'd be more like catering to horseshoes and things like that, rather than your typical blacksmith setup.
Yeah, but I guess a ship's right would have those kind of things too, for shaping the ships, the metal in the ships, like the.
Like kind of fantasy ships, it would have mostly been like nails and things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, you'd have still had someone who had needed that. So, I think
maybe attached to the ships, right?
Yeah, kind of annexed on. So
yeah,
annexed Smiths, and I guess carpenter then, if that's because that would have also been necessary.
I think we'd be amiss if we didn't add a brothel.
Yeah, I mean that's it kind of borders on stereotype to have a kind of portside brothel, doesn't it? Yeah, I think an old brothel definitely was. That also would make a really kind of interesting setting for any campaign, where it's just like there's this old abandoned brothel in this kind of marshland. Sam has suggested a doctor's office. I mean, it's because it's fantasy. It would be more like a healer's thing, I guess.
Or like an apothecary.
An apothecary, maybe. Yeah, I think an apothecary. Potentially even like a temple to like a god of the sea or something like that.
I like the idea of the temple being totally desecrated because the sea's not there anymore.
Yes.
You say a temple?
Or a shrine?
Yeah, actually a shrine would probably be more appropriate for something this small than an actual temple.
I'm struggling with how to show this port town. Maybe from the sea?
Yeah, I mean, because from like the marshland, because the sea's no longer there.
Yeah. Well, if it's a port town, the sea is still gonna be kind of there. But it's. Hey, you guys, subscriber. Hey.
Hey, thank you, the magic moshpit.
Magic moshpit.
The sea would still be kind of there, but then the marshland, it feeds into the marshland, doesn't it? Essentially, it would still be on the coast.
Well, the idea I think we had, because it's abandoned, was that it became abandoned because a dramatic tide shift basically drew the sea so far out that it no longer reaches the port.
I think I missed that part. Okay, so.
Yeah, and then it's so
okay,
it's.
Okay.
it's now the water just goes dead on with the marshland.
Now with the so I'm gonna ask some questions.
Hell yeah.
What is the terrain around this marshland? Was this town kind of like in a valley? Is there hills around, or is it completely flat? Does the landscape go up beyond this town? Like because it's a marshland, but and being on the coast, it's probably there's a lot of things around that idea. So was it more cold, or was it a warmer climate? Is it humid? Is it dry?
I think it definitely has to be a kind of humid, much warmer climate for it to be to have become marshland.
Yeah.
So I think there definitely needs to be that.
Okay. Let me look up. Sorry, I may not be drawing a little bit because I'm looking up reference.
So
No, that's cool.
I'm picturing, like, in my mind's eye, like something incredibly flat and muddy, and it actually smells because there's like
Oh, this is a good picture.
because it's like humid. It's got like like some pools. I imagine if it weren't set in fantasy and you went out walking in wellies, you'd lose your wellies. There's like
this kind of
sinkholes around, but then there's evidence of like sea life having been there.
Okay, let's blur this.
Yes.
This kind of
Sinkholes and evidence of sea life. I love it.
But then I think, like, in my mind, it's like it's a bit flatter. But I don't know what you're feeling.
No, I think I agree with. I think it definitely should be flat. I think there should be like a good amount of plant life in the area.
Oh, what if like most of the buildings were on stilts?
Nice. Yeah.
okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Like, so if they were like on stilts, like, and it was like because it was a port town, it was like they were all on docks and walkways.
Which kind of connected up to the main, like the actual kind of main body of land.
So I just had an image of like, because most ports would be in some sort of bay, so it would be like a half moon shaped bay, and maybe several miles out is a point to where like an abandoned lighthouse is.
Oh, nice.
So
we have
Okay, I like that.
an abandoned lighthouse in the distance.
yeah, and so like it looks, and it kind of, where the lighthouse is where it starts to change terrain. So it kind of starts to go like up, and like, so there's hills behind it, but this is mostly all flat.
Nice. Yeah. I love that. Okay.
Okay, I like that a lot.
And maybe because it was, I mean, is this a, it would have to be tidal shift, so it would have to be a sea.
Yes.
And maybe it's difficult for things to grow because it's very salty soil.
Yeah, I mean, you're not growing anything in this because it's a salt marsh. It's 100% a salt
Okay,
marsh.
yeah.
Because it is salt water. So yeah, it became impossible for things to grow there. All kind of just like adding to the reason this place was abandoned was just, it became impossible to sustain a livelihood there.
And maybe there are some sunk into the marsh ruins of ships that got aground. They couldn't pull them out.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yes, abandoned
Some
ships
kind of nice silhouettes.
that were grounded. So that says to me that this change in tide was something that was so that happened so quickly that they didn't even have time to get the vessels out.
Oh, man.
this was like a spontaneous thing that just happened, rather than something that kind of happened gradually. It was something that just an event happened, and all of a sudden the water was just gone.
I just had a freaking awesome idea. What if it was a tsunami that like brought the water way in and then dragged it way back out,
Oh,
and then it
nice.
never readjusted? So maybe there was a like asteroid or meteor that like went into the sea and caused it, that shifted
Nice.
the tides or something like that.
Yeah, I think tsunamis typically are like, usually caused by earthquakes beneath the water.
Yeah.
So tsunami had drawn all of the water out of the port, and yeah, it never returned.
Yeah. It's like an instant. It's like almost like everyone who was there was like,
Yeah, I mean, when that happens, when a tsunami does happen, the shift in tide, just the tide being pulled out, is remarkably fast. And yeah, we would have been very difficult. It'd been impossible for them to predict that to happen, and really, I don't think they would have had enough time to react. So that works so well. This is a very grounded fantasy town. So very grounded in science.
yes.
But not all of your fantasy towns are going to have some kind of magical backstory. Like,
But
some
but
will
what?
have just.
Yeah, but then there could have been some sort of magical event that caused the tsunami in the first place, with whatever is in the deep or
Yeah.
whatnot. Like, so it could be, I mean, the birth of some massive being. I don't know. Like something actually hatched out of the sea.
Oh man, you know what I love? Dragon turtles. Turtle dragons. Those things are awesome. It could be
I love that. So like somewhere out in the ocean near to where this port was, there was like a hatching of a nest of dragon turtle eggs, and the turtles all got like super aggroed with each other and started fighting beneath the surface, and their fighting drew all of this water out on a massive scale.
Oh, we've got some
Oh, nice. We've got
comments,
some stuff from Rob. Hey, Rob.
Rob.
Grimland, one plant left.
Yes, just like an enchanted tree that only grows in that kind of area.
Nice.
I like the idea of a creature escaping a prison.
Oh, yeah, no, I like that as well.
That's cool. Whoa.
I really like that.
I need some framework.
So-
We have like a
Oh, there's
Creature
so
est-
much. I feel a campaign just coming out of this.
So let's change that. The tsunami was caused by an aboleth as it broke out of out of its watery prison.
Yeah, it like sucked the water as it rose, like it brought it with.
Like it was being magically held there by the magic of like a lesser deity, maybe, and for centuries it's been trying to break free, and when it finally did, the breaking of that magical barrier caused a devastating tsunami, which destroyed a lot of places through just the destructive power of a tsunami in other parts of the continent. and certainly reshaped the way that it looks. But in this part of the continent, the water was drawn out and never returned.
Yes. So it'd almost be like this sticky salt desert.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. Okay, so
It's black.
just adding all this to my list of stuff that I'm making notes on. Nice. Okay, so we've got our kind of history of this place now. We know what happened here. We know how it became abandoned. And we've got a list of like a few buildings that would have been in the area. So let's should we go through those and kind of give them a bit of life as well?
Yeah. Awesome.
Nice. So the warehouses that were built there, obviously used for storing trade goods that were brought in by trade vessels that came through and were stored there until they were able to be shipped off to other settlements around the continent. However, whenever you have a trade port like that, and whenever you have warehouses for storage, almost always you're going to have a smugglers guild or a thieves guild using that facility for nefarious purposes. So I think maybe those warehouses were all, there was like a private warehouse that was in the port that was not owned by any of the trade guilds and was used exclusively for like smuggling in contraband onto the continent.
So what if there is inside that warehouse? I love this so much. There is a actual underground tunnel system.
Nice. Yes.
So for the smuggling, to get the goods out well enough out of the port, and to not be seen. So those stuff goes into the warehouse but doesn't come out because it all goes underground.
Nice. I love it. So there's like a secret tunnel system underneath it. It's amazing. Yes. Okay, so we add that in.
It would be cool as well if like the tunnels led out of the city or the town or the settlement, but also into some of the more dodgy establishments.
Yes.
So maybe smuggling in illegals into these places.
Nice. So yes, sorry. I was trying to type and talk at the same time.
Yeah.
So you've got this kind of they've got the tunnel system underneath it, which was used to get illegal goods out of the port unnoticed. But so those tunnels are going to lead to different areas. Whether do we think like, are they leading directly to other settlements, or are they kind of just leading to safe zones outside of the port where they could be moved on without detection.
Yeah, I would go down that road. I mean, who knows? Like this is the kind of thing that great dungeon crawls are made of, because it could lead to various hideouts dotted around. It could lead to the lighthouse, maybe.
Oh, nice. One of the tunnels definitely has to lead to the lighthouse.
Yeah. So this is uh this has so much potential. So that I mean, there could be, obviously once we start working through this, there will be the nearest town. Does it lead there? Does it lead to just another warehouse?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to have. There's going to be a connection, definitely, and I think it's leading to. If there is a town close enough by that it could be realistic to transport goods through a tunnel there, then absolutely.
I like
So
the
I-
idea.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of some of the tunnels being big enough for cart horses and mules to pull things through.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So we have like this underground system, and there was just left with all these work animals that we use to kind of pull things around. And
the question is, are they like, obviously the tsunami sucked all the water out, so so presumably, excuse me, they're not flooded.
they're not flooded. I think a lot of these tunnels are probably collapsed.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are. I think there's definitely some which are still intact, and there's definitely a good dungeon crawl in there. But I think there's definitely a lot of like bits that are just kind of collapsed down there.
Nice.
And I think the fact that they collapse, like if they collapsed as a direct result of the water being drawn out, because if you shift the balance of like a support weight, it could definitely do that. I think like
there could
maybe
be
those tunnels have undead or like spirits and that kind of still down there that that were trapped when everything went down.
Well, because possibly like if the water got sucked out from underneath some of the tunnels as well, it would have created sinkholes. As like I like that as a hazard, like these that quicksand, sinkholes, lots of hazards.
Yes, so the tunnels have got. There are sections that are collapsed. There are sections that are hazardous with sinkholes and quicksand, and many of the smugglers that were down there were trapped and died in those tunnels, and now their ghostly remains still haunt them.
I imagine this abandoned settlement, because of the quickness of what happened, especially out by the skeletons of the ships, there would be undead as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's definitely a lot. I think there's definitely some undead in this abandoned settlement. I think there definitely has to be.
So it's in my mind's eye, it's quite small, this port town.
Yes, yeah. As a port, ports generally tend to be very small, so I think it's it definitely has to be a small area. Like I say, it probably is literally just one stretch of road that goes off in two different directions, and everything is just built onto that one road. Except for maybe the warehouses, which are kind of just off from the main road.
I like the idea of the main road being made of wood.
Yes.
and that was originally on stilts as well. So
Yes,
like
so the whole
basically
thing
as
was-
as you approach it, you're actually, you can see under it because it's where the water went.
Nice. Yeah, so everything, the singular road that goes through goes through the port was built up on stilts. And I think like when you kind of come into this port town, because it's been abandoned for however long, like some of these stilts have broken away and it's actually just treacherous to walk through it now.
Mm. Well, as well, if all the buildings are built on stilts, that's going to be quite treacherous to explore.
Yes.
Just be like, because it's all, if I imagine it's all pretty much made of wood.
Just realized I was muted.
Oh, okay.
So have you guys seen what I've been drawing?
I
No.
can't see anything on the.
You can't see it on the thing.
No.
I can't see it on the
What?
Twitch stream.
Hold on a second. That means no one has been seeing what I've been working on.
No.
No,
Give me a second, guys. I will get that sorted.
You were just really stuck.
No, let me see if I can fix that. Carry on talking. I'm gonna try to get this working.
I'm super excited to see what you got.
Because one of the things I was just thinking is that not all the buildings necessarily are still on their stilts, like like they collapsed.
So they're like,
because the wood have rotted
sideways?
away. Let me. Okay, I'm gonna lose. It's gonna drop out for a second. So hold on. Keep talking. Sort it out. I will get
Nice.
Kirta up again.
So I think in my, like, let me know if this sounds good to you, but the tavern and inn is like the biggest kind of livable looking structure.
Yes, absolutely.
I like the thought of it being like 3 stories.
Yes, 100%. I think the inn has to be pretty big. Like,
Yeah.
that's definitely the largest building there that was used, because it would have been used by the sailors, by the prostitutes that worked in the brothel, by the tradesmen, by the warehouse workers, and the wagon drivers. Like, all of these people would have been using this one facility. So I think it definitely has to be the kind of like main structure of the town.
I like the thought of it having like balconies that go all the way around it.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
I like that it's like these 3 floors. I'm actually thinking of like, you know, some of the cities that you can find that are built on stilts. I think like coastal towns in China maybe, that have like the roofs that are like out like this.
Yeah, I get exactly what you mean. 100%.
Like fishing villages.
Yeah, I know exactly the kind of aesthetic that you're talking about there, where all of the buildings are just kind of sat in the water, but like raised out on wooden legs, and then everything's kind of connected by wooden platforms and bridges. So yeah, I get exactly the aesthetic you're looking for there. So let's talk about the inn. So we've got this kind of 3-story longhouse, which was the largest building in the port, and was used by the sailors, warehouse workers, traders, drivers, prostitutes, and
It was kind of
like
an
yeah, just
inn/hostel/apartment blocks.
yeah, and passers-by for the entire time the port was active. Yeah, I think a lot of these, like, unlike a normal inn, which is just a series of bedrooms, this has a lot of kind of self-contained, self-contained kind of like apartments and things. Oh, nice! I can see that now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes, love
Sea
it.
tunnels.
So we have.
We've got some good suggestions.
Yes. Nice. Thanks for that, Sam. So we've got some like sea tunnels where so I'm just going to read what Sam's put in there. So natural tunnels under some of the land buildings. So sea rubbles that were not there a day ago. So like, okay, so I think I get what I think I get what Sam's saying. So like a lot of these buildings have hello ultra violent 121, thanks for the subscribe there. Yes, so I think like now in particular, a lot of these buildings have like the sea life that kind of survived in the area has kind of moved its way into these buildings, and that spell check out rubles.
Nice.
Okay, so and and Grumfile subscribed at tier 1. Thank you as well. Yeah, I like that. So let's this in here. So it was the longhouse that everyone in the area used, all passers-by used. Whilst it did have traditional rooms in rooms, it also had a number of self-contained flats, which were used by the people who maybe used by the people that were more kind of common there.
And maybe that was the top floor.
Yes, absolutely. The top floor was also. Oh, Vi, thank you, Vi. Hi. What we've come up with. So the top floor was like self-contained flats, but everything else was just traditional rooms. The top floor was entirely self-contained flats.
I'm thinking of this place before it was abandoned, and I like the thought of like rope bridges connecting some of the buildings.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. So there was like walkways that weren't just on ground level.
Yeah.
Before the tsunami, many of the buildings were connected by rope bridges. Yeah, and it's all just kind of adds, like, when parties are exploring this town, those rope bridges are not going to be safe anymore, and it just adds another element of danger to it.
Yeah, this is quite treacherous.
Absolutely, it is.
Like just exploring the settlement itself.
Nice. So who? Let's think. Who used to like run this inn? Who used to own it?
I like the thought of like a really gruff, quite short and round woman
A kind
who
of
who is like just absolutely no nonsense.
a gruff, short, and round. No. Nonsense woman. I love it. I mean, it does just sound like you're describing a dwarf.
Oh, well, maybe. But
it doesn't have to be.
I just like the thought that she is like everyone just knows, do not cross her.
Yes, absolutely. So let's have a look.
Maybe she like inherited the business, like she grew up in the business. It's like always been hers.
Who
Something
had
like that.
Yeah, who had inherited so she had inherited this business and had grown up in the inn when the port was abandoned. Her entire life, her entire history, and everything
Yeah.
that she knew kind of went with it.
But maybe she went on to open something else, like, and she tells people about this place. Like,
Yes, I like that. So she moved to another nearby settlement and opened a new I guess would it be another inn? Like,
I mean,
trying to
it's
keep
what
that.
she knows, I guess.
Yeah.
Like she took her lockbox with her and just walked off.
Yeah, kind of
Like,
not looking back. Yeah.
well,
I
like
like
she
this.
doesn't. It's like she doesn't bereave it. She's just like, oh, well, that happened. Like that's how hard she is.
Never looking back. Nice. Okay.
What if
so
she
that's-
was an elf, so then she was alive when this happened, and so she's still
Oh.
around? Give it an
Okay.
age.
Yes. So no nonsense. A short and round elf woman.
Yes!
Awesome.
I love it. Cool. I think that's really good for the end. I think
that knowing her, like, and fleshing out her character would then flesh out the way the inn felt and looked. So that's how, like.
Yeah, I think it was I think the inn in that case was a very practical place.
Yeah.
Like this was not a fancy hotel. This was not a place of just like comforts and delicacies. This was you stay here tonight, you're going to survive. That's what we promise you.
Yeah. and it would be like, I like the thought that she, like, yes, some of the workers from the brothel would like have their actual homes there, but she'd be like, yeah, keep your work at your work. Like, This
Yes,
is my
she-
inn. There's no place for this. Like, just very no nonsense. Like, you do your work in your place. You live here. You pay me rent.
Yes.
Ooh, winter.
And had a. Oh,
I want to
nice.
add. Let me go back to paintbrushes.
Ooh,
I
there we
like.
go.
Let's see.
So that she was.
I feel like the water, it needs to be more muddy.
So Vi is kind of suggesting maybe this woman had had a child who ended up becoming like walking out and becoming an adventurer, which I quite like because that could make for a fun NPC at some point. And Sam has suggested.
That spell check really hates him.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well-
Yeah, stone mushrooms. I'm not sure what he's trying to type there. But yeah, so like it's. I think they're definitely like these places are now inhabited by sea creatures.
But I think it's more like amphibious creatures
Definitely.
because there's not really any sea there anymore. That's like
Absolutely.
the whole point. So like creatures like marsh creatures.
Marsh-like creatures.
Yeah.
I think I definitely agree with you on there. This actually could be an interesting lair for like a black dragon,
Oh, interesting.
because black dragons tend to live in like swampy, marshy areas. But let's have a look. Let's have a look at
More.
what sort of monsters might live in a kind of swampy, marshy area.
I think hydras do, hey?
Oh, I hope so. They do.
Oh, that would be great. Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. I think. Yeah. I think we've got something there. So let me finish this up on the inn. So the inn had a. Was the home to many of the prostitutes in town, but they were not permitted to practice their trade there. Nice. So yeah, I think okay, there is definitely got to be a Hydra in this.
Yeah.
In this
I-
port. But
I like the thought of our innkeeper kind of being at odds with the smugglers as well. Like, you're not like, no, I don't want to sell. Like, you're not selling that stuff here. Like, so they would have to sell their contraband wares through other means.
nice. I like it.
yeah.
So
So a hydra.
yes. So where is this Hydra hiding out then? Now, because we've
Ooh.
got we've got the warehouses,
But
we've got the inn.
It could be living actually under the town, like where all the docks were and where
Yes.
it was built up on the like boardwalk. There is basically a natural like void from where the water used to be and sucked out, so it actually lives underneath the boardwalk.
Love it. Yes, absolutely. So under the old boardwalk, the tide has disappeared. Hydra has moved in and created its lair. Nice.
How
Oh,
stealthy? How stealthy are hydras?
Hydra's probably not very.
It's like don't wake the sleeping hydra.
Yeah. Yeah, Hydra's not abundantly stealthy. They just get a +1. They have +6 on perception though.
Okay.
Makes
However,
sense.
whilst Hydras sleep, at least one of their heads is always awake.
Yes.
So, yeah, like.
Oh man.
It's there, and is very territorial.
Let's see some.
And will attack anyone who
Trespasses.
trespasses, who they catch trespassing.
Yeah. So I think that's an awesome mix. Like you've got this hydra that's made its lair in this abandoned salt marsh, that this like ex port town. But then you've got the undead of those who didn't survive the tsunami.
Yes, so there's a nice mix of like different monsters that we would find there. Swamp zombies, all
Yes.
rotting leeches,
Gross.
100% vibe. I
Awesome
love
leeches for sure. Like because of how like leeches that like are in the mud and in the like.
I wonder
mean,
if is
Do we need to?
giant is giant leech a thing in 5e?
Well, I think that's a homebrew lab in the making.
No, unfortunately, it is in the SRD, but it does mean that it is available to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, giant leeches are definitely
Or like just any leeches. Like they're so horrible. Like
yeah. I mean, any leeches is fine. It's just, I wanted to see if we could get.
yeah.
I wonder if they have a leech swarm in 5e.
Ooh. I like the thought of a giant leech that like keeps its young in its mouth.
Oh yes, love it. Oh, that's a different version of D&D. Okay, it looks like someone's created something, but I think Leech Swarm is definitely something we could potentially come up with in Homebrew Labs at some point. But yeah, so okay, so we have in the kind of denizens. So
Wow, Sarah, this is looking awesome. So eerie.
along with the Hydra, the port is now inhabited with rotting undead and
That was cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
marsh beasts
It needs to be a lot darker in there, though.
such
There's no
as
light in there.
leeches. So what? Marsh creatures. So yeah, lots of like leeches, lots of like insects, I think, as well.
Oh yeah. Mosquitoes.
Rats.
Yeah.
That's just ugh.
Rats and frogs. Amazing.
I like the fact that like everyone left so quick and because there are the smugglers tunnels underneath, like what might be found when you try to explore this place.
Yeah. I think Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, got that. Yes, Sam, I imagine there probably would be some in the books that you sent me. However, the only stuff we're legally allowed to use is stuff from the SRD, which the stuff that you gave me is definitely not, or stuff that we make up ourselves. So we'll keep that in. Since real Innsmouth, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna have to look that up. Since it's so marshy and the flesh would decay to such a high degree, you could even have an ooze that's created out of liquefied some. I'm going to lose my dinner there. That's amazing.
What was it? It's a liquefied zombie, partially sentient and moaning for death. I love it.
Yeah, that is super creeps. Oh God.
Innsmouth? Innsmouth? I don't know Innsmouth. Don't know what that is, Chris.
There we go. Oh man.
Okay, goodness. Okay, so we've definitely got a good kind of like monster population there.
Oh yeah, this place is treacherous.
This is a hellscape of a place.
I mean, the Hydra alone.
Hydras are like CR8, so these are, this is a place that you come and visit when you've ranked up a few levels at least.
Yeah. You don't just pop this into a one shot unless you get everyone like level 10.
Oh, definitely
plus.
not. No, well, actually, I mean, you'd probably be a bit lower than that, but yeah, definitely a nice creepy vibe. So, setting for the Cthulhu mythos, it definitely does have a kind of Cthulhu-like vibe, doesn't it?
It's kind of nice texture. Yeah, that's cool.
So,
okay, so I really love this. So we've still got a few kind of like businesses and stuff to kind of work out more details on.
yeah, was it the ship's right?
So we've got the shipswright, the brothel, the apothecary, the shrine, and the abandoned lighthouse.
Oh yes.
And I'm just being aware of the time, just because we're already kind of pushing into our hour now.
But and maybe what we can do off camera is flesh it out and create a one shot where people can then discover these things.
100%. I'm right there with you on that. I think this is a good kind of place to kind of call it for the actual live stream. We are definitely going to flesh this out more off stream, like finish creating these different businesses and buildings that are abandoned, and then we are going to. There is definitely going to be some one-shot material here that will be run through Wayfarers League. So anyone who is watching that is not currently a part of the Wayfarers League, head on over to wayfarersleague.com to come and join us, get into the Discord so that we can chat with you guys and get involved in some of the games that we're going to be running. So Via's already very eager for this.
The one shot, me. What we haven't done is name this settlement, though.
That is very true. We have not given it a name, and usually I like to throw the name out to the chat. So those in the chat, start throwing us some names for this port. What was this place called before if everything went down?
Yeah, and if you missed it, it's just a few little pieces about it. It's wood built. Mainly, all the buildings were on stilts. It had a walkway. It was pretty small.
And then a great tsunami took the coast just right out from underneath this place, and Harrow is an actual place, Sam. I don't think we can call it Harrow. I used to live in Harrow. No, actually, no. I live in Harrow now. I used to live somewhere else, but yeah, I live in Harrow now. We can't call it Harrow. That is actually where I live.
Wow.
There we go. This is better brush.
Oh goodness, yeah.
That's super creepy. Marsh Moss Hollow. It wasn't a marsh when it was a settlement, so it would have.
Yes,
So it's like what it could be called now. It's hell.
yeah, it's hell. It's definitely hell. I'm not sure if he's talking about this place or Harrow, but I think either way could be applicable.
It'd be quite funny if it had like a really pleasant name.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
And
I
you
think
turn
so.
up and you're like, what the hell is this?
It does, yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with Katie there. I think this place needs to have had like a much nicer name.
Yeah.
That now just does not fit.
I think because it was like a thriving little port, or like a harbor, sorry. It had the potential to be something bigger before the tsunami took all the water out, and then but I think like it could have nicknames like that are
Yeah,
awful.
yeah.
I think this place was like well on its way to
Honeywood
being
Village.
Honeywood. I Honeywood Village.
There's no wood around.
No, I think
It's like Port Pleasant or something like that.
How about something like well, I guess one of the things is like, where is it exactly? It could be the chalice of whatever the sea is, or
Tribbles.
Tribbletown. That's cute. I feel like I know a place called Tribble. Besides, the whole Star Trek reference.
I'm not familiar with it. But so I'm trying to say, like, how do we try and incorporate these things into something? We've got Shalestow, Port Shalestow. That could be interesting.
Oh, I like that. That's actually
Port Shalestow. Yeah.
that's nice. I want to.
Like, cause yeah, it's I think that all the marshes that are there now, of course, probably has some horrible name that like makes you never want to go there. But this Fellshore,
Fellshore is like almost prophetic.
yeah, it's like this is going, yeah.
Port Shalestow, Port Fellshore.
Um,
I like both of those. I do love the kind of just irony of Fellshore.
yeah, that it's like the gods ordained it to be.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I actually feel like I want to go with Fellshore.
Sounds alright.
Just and do we add like Port Fellshore or Fellshore Harbor?
Oh, Fellshore Harbour, definitely Fellshore
Yeah?
Harbour.
Yeah.
Fellshore Harbour is 100% what this place needs to be.
Yeah.
Fellshore Harbour, nice. Okay,
So there you go.
that is perfect. Oh god, that looks so good, Sarah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I like that it's like sunk into the mud, a lot of it.
Yeah, it's
Seems good. It's brilliant.
nice.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and for those who for those of you who are currently subscribed to us on Twitch, we do have a new emoji going up. I don't think it's gone up yet, but I think it's going up soon.
Yeah.
Which was decided by our Patreons. So for those of you who are in Wayfarers and not on the Patreon yet, or those of you who are interested in getting involved, a lot of benefits from being on the Patreon, including early access to all of this material that we're creating on this on the Homebrew Labs. All of that material will be made available to Patreons before anyone else. You also get first dibs on any games that come through on Wayfarers League. You get first shout at slots on games.
Yep.
And you also get to vote on things like what emotes we add to our Twitch streams.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of benefits.
It's also a really lovely community. Like I'm
It's super
really
good
happy
community.
with how it's grown this past year. Everyone there is awesome.
Yeah,
It's
super fun.
it's an amazing community. We have, I think, like 190 people now, something crazy like that, which is amazing. So also spread the word. Let's get that above 200.
Yeah. And visit the website and just check out our story. We write blog posts every week, and if you follow through, you can kind of check out like where we've come from and where we're going. It's quite fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think for now, we have a very cool abandoned port, which looks absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
And
I want to draw that lighthouse, do a spotlight picture of it, because that's lighthouses.
And then we'll have to add that into the published material.
Yeah.
But otherwise, guys, I think that is us for tonight. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will catch you guys again in 2 weeks' time for the next episode of Homebrew Labs, where not sure who our guest is going to be yet, but I believe we've only got 2 left to do before we go back into the cycle. So I think the next one we're going to do is going to be creating a brand new spell for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Awesome.
I have no idea
So-
how I'll illustrate that, but I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be interesting. I have no idea how that's going to work illustration-wise either. But it is going to work because, like, you didn't know how you were going to do this, and it's friggin' amazing. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
so thank you guys,
Okay, I'll
and
get that.
yeah, come join us next time, and all the time in between. Then we are always around on the Discord.
Yep. See you
Yeah.
next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.